God damn it, why is all of Hollywood trying to get me to fuck a horse? I don't want to re-shit your stomach to begin with, but if I have to, I'd rather not do it with my penis. I am dangerously close to developing an addiction to crack.
Danny Motta is one of those creators that on paper I probably shouldn't enjoy as much as I do. He's loud, he's over the top, he has some genuinely baffling takes on occasion, and every now and then he'll say something that leaves me staring at my screen wondering, how did you come to that conclusion? Yet despite all of that, I keep coming back, and videos I have even a less than vague interest in watching always manages to find its way into my watch history. And before I know it, I've spent yet another 20 or 30 minutes enjoying a reaction video I had no real intent of watching. That's what makes Danny Motta so fascinating to me as a content creator myself. He's proof that being entertaining isn't about being perfect, it's about being impossible to ignore. In an era where so many creators feel polished to the point of predictability, Danny almost feels like the complete opposite. You never quite know what he's going to say next, whether you'll agree with what he says, or whether he's about to make you laugh at what he just said or did than the video he is actually trying to react to. What I find even more interesting is that Danny's appeal doesn't always come from being right. It comes from moments where his humour borders on being painfully cheesy, and his energy can be so over the top that it probably shouldn't work, but somehow it does. Beneath all of that loudness is someone who's genuinely passionate about the content he's watching, and that enthusiasm becomes infectious. So rather than focusing on whether Danny Motta has the best reactions on YouTube, I want to explore why someone with so many qualities that could easily, and probably does, turn people away, has become one of the easiest creators to sit down and watch for almost hours at a time.
And remember to go fuck yourself if you think I'm continuing this goddamn episode. Just fucking spit on him or something, please. Look at him. Doesn't he look abusable? Don't you want to just give it to him? Because, and I cannot stress this enough, fuck you. Let's go! Let's go! Sokka's about to get fucking lit!
The first thing almost everyone notices about Danny is just how loud he is. Whether he's reacting to an emotional scene in Epic, a ridiculous joke that he himself made, or a shocking plot twist in a long-standing series that he's reacting to, he approaches everything with an energy level that most creators simply don't have. For some people, that's probably an immediate deal breaker. His reactions can be exaggerated, his jokes are often unapologetically cheesy, and there are moments where he seems to bounce from one thought to another without really stopping to catch his breath. It's chaotic, it's messy, and occasionally it's even cringeworthy. On paper, that sounds like the kind of creator I'd get tired of after a small handful of videos. Usually, personalities that rely so heavily on volume and constant excitement end up becoming exhausting, but Danny has somehow managed to avoid that trap. Instead of feeling like he's performing for the camera, his enthusiasm comes across as something much more genuine. And I think that's the first piece of the puzzle when it comes to understanding why his content is so watchable. Even when I know he's probably about to yell at the next ridiculous moment, it never feels repetitive because every reaction comes from a place of genuine excitement rather than YouTube obligation. That unpredictability keeps his energy fresh instead of wearing thin over time. I think a big part of that comes down to the fact that his energy never feels calculated. There are plenty of creators on YouTube who have clearly figured out what gets clipped for TikTok or what earns the biggest reactions in a thumbnail, so every laugh, every scream, and every shocked expression starts to feel rehearsed. Danny, on the other hand, often feels like someone who simply forgot the camera was there. He'll burst into laughter at something incredibly stupid, go off on a completely unrelated tangent, or make a joke that doesn't land in the slightest. And yet those moments end up becoming part of his unique kind of charm. He's never trying to convince you that he's the funniest person in the room. If anything, he's usually the first person willing to laugh at himself when one of his jokes completely falls flat. That willingness to embrace the awkwardness makes him feel approachable rather than performative. And I think that's something audiences subconsciously pick up on. You don't get the impression that he's trying to manufacture a personality specifically for YouTube. Instead, it feels like YouTube is simply giving him a place to be the personality he already is. That authenticity also means the louder moments actually have a kind of weight to them. When Danny loses his mind over a scene, it really feels like he's forcing a reaction simply because that's what's expected from a reaction channel, whether he's crying with laughter, yelling at a character's decision, or celebrating a genuinely satisfying plot-related moment. It feels like a natural extension of his personality rather than a switch he's clicking on for the audience. That doesn't mean every reaction is 100% accurate, or that I always agree with how he interprets a scene. In fact, there are plenty of times where I think he's completely missed the point, but even then, I never get the impression that he's pretending. I'd much rather watch someone who's honestly wrong than someone who's carefully crafting the correct reaction because they know it'll keep the comment section happy. Danny's willingness to simply be himself, flaws and all, makes every reaction feel far more engaging than one that had been filtered through with the expectations of an audience. It creates discussions rather than validation, and I think that's far healthier for reaction content in the long run, because it encourages viewers to think about the media rather than simply agreeing with whoever's on screen. Ironically, I think that's why the loud energy becomes one of his biggest strengths rather than one of his biggest weaknesses. It's not just noise for the sake of grabbing attention like every Will Ferrell movie ever made, it's an extension of someone who's genuinely excited to be watching the content in front of him. That excitement becomes infectious after a while. Even when I'm watching something I've already seen multiple times, like his Black Butler series, Danny's enthusiasm has a way of making it feel fresh again because you're experiencing it through someone who clearly loves talking about animation, storytelling, and ridiculous character moments. His personality won't click with everyone, and I completely understand why some people bounce off of it immediately. But if it does click, it's surprisingly difficult to walk away from after just one video. What initially comes across as loudness gradually starts to feel like an odd type of sincerity, and before long that chaotic, loud energy becomes one of the biggest reasons you keep clicking on the next video. It becomes part of the experience itself, to the point where watching the original scene almost feels incomplete without wondering how Danny would react to it.
I'm sorry, okay? I did all that I could. What are you doing? Just standing around, yapping like some kind of reaction YouTuber. I have to be the first one to blow my son! See, this was an inappropriate time to talk about your asshole.
One of the biggest compliments I can give Danny is that more often than not, I'm not clicking on his videos because of what he's reacting to, I'm clicking because it's him reacting to that media. That is an incredibly difficult position for any reaction creator to reach. Most reaction channels live and die by the popularity of the show or movie they're covering. If you're not interested in the source material, you simply just don't watch the video. Danny has somehow managed to move beyond that. There have been plenty of times where I've seen one of his uploads, realized I have absolutely no interest in the show itself, and still considered watching it purely because I know he'll probably make the experience an odd kind of entertaining. That is a testament to how much of the appeal comes from his personality rather than whatever the media it is that he's reacting to. The reaction may be the reason a viewer initially discovers his channel, but it's rarely the reason they stay. It's a difficult balance to strike because reaction content is naturally tied to whatever is being watched. Yet Danny has built enough of his own identity that the source material often becomes secondary. That doesn't mean I watch everything he uploads, because there are entire series on his channel that I've either skipped completely or only watched a handful of episodes from. The Owl House and Steven Universe are probably the biggest examples for me personally. Those are simply shows I've never really cared for, so naturally I'm not going to invest hours watching reactions to something I have very little to no interest in. I think that's perfectly normal. Every creator has certain content that appeals to different parts of their audience, and Danny is definitely no exception. But what's interesting is that even when he uploads something I have no intention of watching, I never feel like I've stopped being a fan of the channel itself. I just wait for the next upload that does end up catching my attention, and more often than not, it doesn't take very long before I'm clicking and watching again. That says a lot about the loyalty he's managed to build, because I'm not unsubscribing or losing interest. I simply recognize that not every upload has to be made specifically for me. When he is reacting to something I care about, like How to Train Your Dragon, Road to El Dorado, or now Epic the Musical, that's when his content becomes increasingly easy to binge. Whether it's an aforementioned film I've loved for years, or a series I'm experiencing for the first time alongside him, Danny has a way of making those reactions feel like you're watching with a friend rather than watching someone perform for an audience. He'll pause to point out a small detail, burst into laughter at something completely unexpected, or spend several minutes trying to process a twist that caught him off guard. Even when I disagree with his interpretation of a particular scene, I'm still invested because I'm curious to see where his thought process might go next. The best reaction creators aren't simply mirrors reflecting the content back at you, they become part of the experience themselves, and Danny has reached a point where his personality is just as entertaining as the media he's reacting to. That conversation he creates around a scene often becomes just as memorable as the scene itself, which is something only a small handful of creators, especially reaction creators, are genuinely able to achieve. I think that's why his catalog has so much replay value for so many people. Instead of being tied to one specific franchise or one particular kind of audience, it's built around someone who's genuinely enthusiastic about sharing an experience with other people. Some series won't interest me, others I'll watch the moment they're uploaded, but the overall feeling of the channel remains remarkably consistent. You know you're going to get loud reactions, terrible jokes, questionable opinions, and plenty of moments that make you laugh just as much as the source material itself. That consistency is incredibly valuable because it means viewers aren't simply subscribing for Avatar or whatever else the latest popular show happens to be. They are subscribing because they've grown to enjoy spending time with Danny himself, and I think that's one of the clearest signs that a reaction creator has built something much bigger than just a reaction channel. That's an achievement very few reaction channels ever reach.
It's almost got me there. That's fine. Hey, what if he died though? And so here I am, garbage boy, ready to take myself out for all of you. Again though, you gotta cool it with the incest. I love the look, love everything going on here, you're gonna slay at the next Narnia convention, but cool it with that shit.
Danny Motta isn't a creator who's trying to appeal to everyone, and I honestly think that is one of his greatest strengths. His loud personality, terrible jokes, questionable opinions on movies, and seemingly endless supply of chaotic energy are all things that will inevitably push a lot of people away. I completely understand that. There are moments where I genuinely roll my eyes, completely disagree with a take, or wonder how he managed to interpret a scene so differently to everyone else. Yet none of those things have ever stopped me from coming back. If anything, they've become part of what makes his content feel so unique. Whether I'm laughing at one of his ridiculous jokes, if only just, shaking my head at a baffling opinion, or simply enjoying his enthusiasm for the story or movies he watches, I always feel like I'm spending time with someone who's genuinely trying to be passionate about what they're doing. That authenticity is incredibly difficult to fake, and I think it's the biggest reason his reaction channel has continued to grow. At the end of the day, I don't think you keep watching Danny because he's perfect, you keep watching because he's entertaining, unpredictable, loud, and very unapologetically himself. In a platform where so many creators begin to feel interchangeable, that's something that has become surprisingly rare, and it's exactly what makes him so difficult to stop watching.
Track of my love.